the seminar to understand more like what the things we should look for and what skill set is needed, etc.
Okay, awesome. Nice to have you here, Ali.
Hi,
Hi, Ibrahim.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm Ibrahim Saloom. I'm Lebanese. I work and live in Riyadh currently. I work in the construction engineering field as a project manager. I'm curious regarding AI. I've attended like a couple of courses and seminars about AI, and I hope to gain more experience and more knowledge from this seminar as well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you with us, Ibrahim. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
hopefully today's session is valuable. One small tip for everyone, if you really want to enjoy and maximize the benefit from this session, my advice to you is to engage, to ask questions, and to really engage, because that's the best way you'll learn. If you're just, if you're putting this on Zoom and then doing something on the side and just pretending that you're here, trust me, you will not benefit. But if you engage, because I really like to have these sessions as engaging as possible. So sometimes I might ask you a question, I don't know, you can interrupt me and ask a question. So that's the best way to get the most out of the session. All right. Hi, Tony. Thank you for opening the cam. For those who just joined us, if possible, please open the cam. It's so much better to have this session. In fact, I don't know if you've heard that there's a study that was done on online learning, and apparently people who open the cam are 80% more likely to understand the content than people who have their cam turned off. So apparently opening the cam will help you learn more. Hi, Badia. Okay, I'm not gonna make you wait longer. I think we can get started. Let me share the screen and kick off today's session. Thank you everyone for joining us again. I'm very happy to see here a wide range of people excited to learn more about how they can build their AI teams and how they can
Hello.
navigate. Hello,
Sorry for being late.
no worries, sad. We're just getting started.
Okay.
So, again, I'm happy to see everyone here. Today's session again is about what is, or actually, what are the different AI roles out there, and what are the strategies for building a dream AI team. Before we go there, let me quickly introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Christoph. I'm a software engineer. I've been working in the tech industry for the last 15 years. And I've been focused on artificial intelligence for the last almost 10 years now. And I'm really passionate about this field. I used to work as an AI engineer on different projects. So I have experience in building AI solutions. But also, it turns out my passion is around spreading AI awareness. So I founded a community in Lebanon called Beirut AI, which then pushed me into the direction of Zaka. And right now, I'm the founder and CEO of Zaka, where we promote and educate people on artificial intelligence. So really, our mission is to help everyone understand and apply AI through consultancy, through training, through all types of support. And really, it's been an amazing journey. I'm very grateful for everything that we were able to accomplish, for all the impact that we've had. And I think there's a lot to be done as well. Moving forward on today's session, we have mainly 5 different points we need to cover, right? First of all, we need to understand artificial intelligence, and we need to understand AI roles as well. So there's a lot of confusion around these, and I'm hoping to be able to clarify all of that for you today. Then we will look into some industry trends. So what are the trends and the needs of the ecosystem and the markets? Then we will go into what does it take to build an AI team? What are the steps you need to take? How do you need to approach it? Then some recruitment strategies. And finally, and most importantly, retention. How do I keep the engineers and the team that I've built? Before we start, I just want to make sure that to align on a few things. Please make sure you interrupt me anytime you have a question. If there's anything I'm speaking that is not clear, you'd like to ask about it, you can either write it in the chat or you can just raise your hand or interrupt me and ask your question. Okay, please, let's make this an interactive session. Let's all enjoy it and learn together. So to get started, I'm going to ask you a very stupid question. I know everyone here has heard of AI, but again, who can tell me what AI is? What do you think of when you hear the words artificial intelligence? Let me open chat. And this is just to make you loosen up a bit and engage. So what is AI?
AI means to make computer think like human beings.
All right, thank you, Manal. That's good. Anyone else would like to throw in a
Actually,
definition?
it's moving the human knowledge to the machine to be able to do tasks بدل الhuman.
Okay, so transferring human knowledge to machines so they can reproduce the same tasks as humans. Okay, Tony said, make life easy. That's hopefully the goal, not make it harder. So yeah, so AI, as you can see, there's no single definition, right? It's a very broad thing. And I always like to start any presentation on AI with this slide specifically, because most people, there's a big misconception around AI, and most people immediately when they think of AI, they close their eyes and they imagine AI, they see a robot, okay? And that's not entirely correct because AI is more than just robotics, but that's how we are used to seeing AI in the media and the movies, etc. So I really want to make sure that AI is bigger than just the concept of robotics. It's actually something that involves, as you have said, it involves making machines smarter, making tools or machines a bit more smarter, a bit more like humans, behaving like humans, thinking like humans, etc. So in order to do that, sometimes we're building hardware and physical robots like these examples, but most of the time we are speaking about algorithms or software, okay, applications, software, uh, things that make systems smart. So that's why AI has been called software 2.0. I don't know if you've seen this analogy before, but we can call AI as the new way of programming machines. And so for those of you who are not programmers, let me explain the difference. In traditional programming, we know that there's a developer, there's a programmer that writes the rules, that writes the code, which the computer executes. So the computer takes in the data, the input, takes in the rules of the program itself, and then it gives us the output. So it follows the step-by-step process that the programmer has written. And that's the traditional way of programming machines. We tell them exactly what to do, and they just execute it. Now, there's another way of doing that, which is basically I let the machine learn by itself. So instead of me giving the rules, sometimes I don't know what the rules are, or they are too complicated to be defined clearly. So what I can do is I can give examples. I can say, here's the data, here's the input, and here's the output, how I would like you to give me the output. And then you, as the computer, you figure out what the rules are. And that's exactly what machine learning is. So a quick example on that would be teaching a machine to recognize objects and images. Okay, I don't need to teach my son what a cat looks like and describe exactly the specifics of a cat for him to be able to say, look, Dad, that's a cat. I can just show him pictures of cats, and then he'll figure out that there are some patterns that are maybe present in all of these images, and then he will be able to say, okay, I know what a cat looks like. I know what a dog looks like. I can identify different animals by looking at some pictures. So that's the idea. My son's brain is figuring out the pattern by itself. Same thing for machines. They learn the pattern by themselves by looking at the data. And the point of all of this is to say that a lot of AI is just software. It's software, but it's a new way of writing software. It's a new way of building these systems. So far, so good. Any questions? Anything you guys would like to add? All right. So we looked at basically what AI is. Now let's look at what are the different AI roles. And if anyone who's been in the field, especially in the last few years, you can imagine that there are a lot of AI roles. Who can name me a few roles that are relating to the AI field? Like, give me a couple of roles.
We have AI specialist, machine learning engineer, data scientist, data analyst. What else?
Exactly, Farah. These are only a few, but I'm sure if you can focus more, you'll find a lot more. In fact, there's a whole list of things that are somehow related to AI, from data architecture, data engineer, data analyst, business analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineer, ML ops engineer, computer vision engineer, and it's endless, right? And even if you can look at these are technical roles. If you look at the non-technical roles, there's also roles like data labeler, AI product manager, AI ethicist, prompt engineer. So again, these are all roles that are somehow under the AI umbrella. And the cool thing is that if you go back a few years, most of these roles did not exist, right? If you go back 10 years, let's say, we had maybe 4 or 5 of these roles. But the more this field is growing, the more we have details and we have new roles coming up. You can see how mature this field is getting. So it's definitely confusing. And it's confusing because there's a lot of overlap also between these roles. So I'm hoping in the next few slides to clarify or to try to help you identify the difference between these roles. And to do that, I'm going to walk you through what I call the story of data. So you can think about everything in terms of data, because data is the source, right? Data is the beginning of everything. If you don't have data, we have no AI. Why? Because if you went back a few slides, we said that we don't know what the rules are. So if I want to program AI systems or AI algorithms, I have to give them the data, whether it's input or output. I give them the data and they learn the pattern. So if I have no data, then how would it learn? And that's why data is essential for any AI system. So if you look at the data perspective, you can now start to group these roles into different categories, right? You have the data architect, database administrator, or data engineer, who are basically roles that deal with designing, managing, and building data systems. So they're at the level of building stuff to do with data, whether it's designing the architecture, whether it's managing it, whether it's building the actual system that collects data. All of these things deal with the data. Then the next category would be basically people who, or roles, who explore that data. Okay, so I have the data sitting around. Now let's make sense of it. Let's try to analyze it. Let's try to use it, come up with some decision making or improve something. So that's the next category. Then you have a bit more advanced analysis. So we can now not only analyze it and see what the data tells me, I can also try to predict the future of what this data would be in the future. And then I can go as advanced as use it to deploy full AI solutions across different domains and apply it to different problems. So if you think about it from a data perspective, it starts from basically building and collecting data all the way to making sense out of the data in step-by-step process. So that's how you can think about it from a data perspective. Now I'm going to give you another example, a more concrete example to help hopefully cementify this knowledge. And again, if you have any question, if anything is not clear, please ask your questions. So let's think about a company like Google, okay? And I took the example of Google because Google is a big company where we can see a lot of these different roles. However, some of these things do not apply if a company is small in size, right? So a lot of the things they apply on huge companies, but not so much on startups. So to see the difference, let's take Google as an example. And we always start with data, as I said. So data is the start of everything. Google obviously has a lot of data. They collect data from different sources, from their mobile phones, from the internet, the Chrome browsers, the Google searches. They have a lot of tools. They have a lot of ways to collect data. And so they have an engineering and architecture department where basically they take that data and they deal with purely the data layer. So in that department, what are some of the roles that exist there? Data architects, who are basically responsible for designing data frameworks. They are literally just like an architect. They design the architecture of the data systems. Which tool to use here? How do we connect this to here? Where does data flow? Where do we save the data? All of these things. These are called data architectures. Data engineers are the actual engineers who build the data pipelines and who build whatever the architects have put in place. Okay, so these are people, software engineers usually, who are building software and pipelines to collect and clean and move around and work with data. And database administrators, as the name says, they have to manage the databases, right? They have to manage and ensure that the place where we are storing the data is always working correctly, is performing well, does not have any issues, etc. So this is basically, these are the different roles of the engineering department. If you think about it from an input and output perspective, the input in this case would be the needs from analyst and business requirements. So for example, if the business needs to understand the sales and let's say which item is selling the most, right? It's a business need. Therefore, the data architectures and the people who are gathering the data need to make sure that we are collecting this data because we need to use it in a specific report or dashboard or whatever. So they take as input data needs and then translate them into structured databases, data pipelines, and actual platforms for collecting and using the data. Okay, that's the first department. That's the first step in the data process. Now we continue to the next department where, okay, now we have the data, it's collected, it's sitting around. What do I do with it, right? What's the next step in that process? Well, we have to analyze it because the data has no value if it's just sitting around. But if you're analyzing it, if you look at the big data perspective, now we can extract a lot of information. And the goal of that department is mainly business understanding goals, which means I need to understand my business, right? I need to understand what I'm selling, who I'm selling to, what are the items, etc., depending on the business, of course. But this is where we have to look at the data, analyze it, and understand the process. And in this department, we have also multiple roles like data analyst. Okay, the data analysts are um, people who basically process the data. Okay, they look at the data, they interpret the data, they make sense out of the data, and they try to uncover some patterns to help the company make better decisions. And that's the whole point. We need to understand where we're spending our money or what item is selling the most or whatever it is to be able to make better decisions in the future. There are different roles, but they overlap a lot. So business intelligence, data analyst, and business analyst, they're very much overlapping. They're all dealing with, again, getting the data, using some tools to build reports, to build dashboards, and to make sense out of the data. So in terms of input output, the input would be the raw data that is collected by the data engineering team. For example, the user interactions, the sales figures, market research, whatever data we have. And the output would be clean, structured reports and dashboards to be able to show them to the management team, to the product team, and to the marketing teams. And then we can make decisions based on that. So that's the next department. So far, so good? Okay, great. Then comes the job of the people who are work more technically with the data, where basically we have the data science department and the AI or ML departments. And this is, in some cases, they are merged into one team, right? In the case of big companies like Google, we separate them. And we'll find out later why we separate them. But both of them are somehow related because they both work on the technology goals. So they both work with code, with platforms to take that data and actually build some model with the data, predictive modeling, and build some solutions. So looking at the data science department, we have data scientists, right? And they are working on creating algorithms. They take the data, they build predictive modeling algorithms, they perform statistical analysis on the data to try to extract some patterns, which will then help them build these models that will be used in a certain application. So it's really important for data scientists to be good at writing code and to be good at having analytical skills. In terms of input output, their input is basically large and complex data sets from different sources, and their output will be deep insights. So first of all, they give you insights and predictive models that are used for recommendations or decision making in the company. Now, if you take this a bit further and talk about the AI department or machine learning department, These are basically machine learning engineers or some specific specializations of these engineers. For example, MLOps engineers are usually machine learning engineers who are working on deploying or integrating models into their software and into production. So you can take the DevOps part plus machine learning part, and you get MLOps engineers. So it's an ML engineer who has DevOps skills. Computer vision engineers are usually machine learning engineers who are working with visual information, with visual data. So they are applying computer vision skills, or they're applying their skills to solve computer vision problems. We call them computer vision engineers. And same thing, NLP, which stands for natural language processing, are machine learning engineers who are working on usually text information or text data. So they are solving NLP problems using machine learning skills. But all of these people, what they mainly do is they develop predictive models. So they train and build AI algorithms. They deploy them in the case of MLOps, and they work with different skills. So their input is structured and unstructured data set. So structured would be basically like a table or an Excel file. Unstructured would be a bunch of images or text or some videos or whatever. And they basically take this data, they build models from it, they deploy these models, they optimize it, and they maintain these models in production. Okay, so that would be basically the AI and ML department, and that's the story of data coming from just random data collected into data that has value and that is making sense. Of course, we also have some non-technical departments. So for example, we might have ethics and compliance department. Again, this is in the case of big companies like Google. Maybe startups do not have that, but big companies, they care a lot about the impact of their AI models. So in the ethics department, you have AI ethicists or people who are making sure that these AI models are used correctly. In OpenAI, if you remember, because there was news about this a couple of months ago, they had an alignment team, and then everyone quit, and they had to anyway. So they call it the alignment team, but their goal is actually how do I build an AI that's ethical, that makes sense, that cannot be used the wrong way. We might also have data labeling, so people who label the data for the AI training, or product management departments. So any AI project or any project needs to have a project manager, and usually project or product manager with AI skills. We call these AI product managers. So it's a big field, but mainly we should have covered the main things. Is this clear for everyone? Do you have any questions, or do you have any confusion around some AI roles that might seem too similar, but actually you'd like us to clarify?
Yes, I have a question. The role AI solutions architect, what is it supposed to be like? What does it involve?
It's
What do
someone
they
who
do?
yes, it's someone who understands AI solutions, who understands how to build AI solution, but they're an architect, so they don't build anything, they just build the architecture. So they know that if you have this problem, you will need to have this component and this component and this component. It's like a data architect, but not just on the data level, it's basically on the whole AI side.
Can you give me an example from a business perspective?
Yeah, sure. So let's say you are Google, to take the example of Google, and you know that Google, they have AI in a lot of their products, okay? But let's focus on, I don't know, Google search. So Google search, you go to Google, you write your query, and then it needs to, I don't know, let's say, get you the right result. So it needs to understand your query. I'm going to simplify some things just to make it quick. It needs to understand exactly what you're asking it, and it needs to go to fetch the results and give you your answer back. So this is a problem, right? And it needs a solution. So what do we do, right? What kind of tools do we use to collect this? How do I send this query to what, where do I save the users? Because, when you ask Google a question, it knows that you, Manal, is different than Chris, right? It knows your history. So if you're asking about AI courses, let's say, or AI bootcamp, it knows that you're in Qatar. So it gives you something related to your geographics, right? It gives you something related to your profile. So to do that, it needs to understand the history of who is that user, what are the previous queries, all of that. This is data saved somewhere in their database, in their data lake, whatever they have. So what tool do I use to collect to take the query, to get the previous info, to compare them, things like that, right? So an architect is basically someone who says, we'll use this tool here, we'll use the data lake here, for example, we'll use Elasticsearch to do the query, we'll use this thing here, we'll plug in the model here, things like that, right? So I'm trying to simplify it, but that's basically what they do. Hopefully I
So it's
clarified.
more.
Yeah.
So it's more on a business side, right? Like not actual technical.
No, it's purely technical. It's not a business. It's because to make that decision, to say, okay, let's use Elasticsearch here, right? You need to be able to understand technical requirements because you need to be able to scale, right? Google, let's say, they have millions of requests every minute. So their solution needs to be technically feasible and technically scalable. You have requirements that are technical. So this is purely a technical position. It's not a business position. But
Okay.
I
Yes,
tried to
got it.
simplify it because we don't have a lot of the requirements here. So I made some assumptions and I kept it a bit high level. But technically, they go into the details of how to build it, and that's the job of the architect.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so Ashraf asked in the chat, what is the difference between MLOps engineer and ML engineer? Usually, ML engineer is someone who builds the model, right? Again, by the way, whenever you're working in a small team in a small company, you have one person doing everything. So we don't have a lot of separation. But we really separate things when things become big, when we're talking about a big scale. So company like Google with thousands of employees, you cannot be just a ML engineer doing everything. You're usually doing one thing at a time. And then once you build your model, you pass it to a ML ops team who are responsible for deploying it in production and scaling it. So that's the difference. So ML ops engineer is someone who deploys machine learning models in production and make sure they scale, make sure they are monitored, and make sure they are updated frequently. That's the whole ML ops operations. Okay, so let's talk quickly about the industry needs, right? So what are we looking at when it comes to AI industry in the region? There was a very old study that nowadays it's not anything new, done by PwC in the region, which they mentioned that the predicted potential impact of AI in the Middle East is $320 billion by 2030. And that's the amount of GDP increase that's gonna be affected by AI, right? So this is the amount of AI will add to the ecosystem by 2030. And they even put or named 4 different countries that will benefit the most, which are basically UAE, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Gulf countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar. And mainly these will benefit because they are investing. They are basically investing a lot of money on infrastructure and training and capacity building. And so they estimated that, for example, Saudi Arabia, the contribution of AI will be $135 billion, which is 12.4% of their GDP by 2030, of course. So there's a lot of potential for AI in the region, and you can see it's growing day by day, and we're reaching those numbers day by day. From another research done by Deloitte, they looked at the readiness of AI in the Middle East. So they asked different companies, I think 400 different leaders in companies. They asked them some questions. 150 GCC leaders. They looked at their readiness, how many of them are already implementing AI, and if not, what are their plans to implement AI and when do they plan, etc. And they summarized it basically with different graphs, but I picked a couple like this one here that shows there's a bit of a lag, a 3 to 4 year lag between GCC and the rest of the world. So globally, for example, 12% of companies are already transformed in AI, whereas GCC at the time of the survey, it was 0%. However, in the next 1 to 2 years, globally it's 38, in the GCC it's 11, and then we can see here the gap. So the transformation is coming, right? The AI implementation will eventually happen. It's just there's a bit of lag, which is understandable, but this coupled with the previous study shows us that there's a lot of potential in the region when it comes to AI, impacting companies and our industries. This is another survey or another graph that shows that 62% in Gulf, GCC area or countries, they already reported using at least AI in at least one business function in their organization. So it's already happening, started to happen at least in terms of the adoption. This is to show us basically the different sectors or business functions. So we can see here it's being used by retail and consumer goods. It's being used in professional services, etc. And most of them report using AI mostly in marketing and sales. So that's the biggest adoption when it comes to business function. If you look at the jobs, which is the main point of our webinar, I went on LinkedIn jobs, and I put data science in MENA, a very high level description, and I found already 5,438 results. And this is companies in the MENA region looking for data science roles. You can see here Qatar Airways looking for data scientists and multiple other companies. I also went and put machine learning in MENA, and I found also 3,300 results. And you can see the location: Egypt, Turkey, UAE, Lebanon. This is Israel, okay. UAE as well, Beirut. So you can see that it's not just one location. All of the region, in different countries, we see more and more positions, being requested because this field is growing in the region. And according to this link, I found as well the top 5 data jobs in the Middle East. We have data analyst. There's a need for data analysts, data engineers, data protection and security manager. So this is the intersection of data and cybersecurity, and how do we keep data secure? Of course, data scientists and data leads. So we've covered the roles and we've covered the trends of the industry, which is looking like it's growing more and more. Now let's look at how we can build an AI team. If I'm the owner of a company and I'm interested in integrating or adopting AI, what's the next step? How should I go about approaching this problem? The first thing I need to do is to analyze my needs, right? From a technical perspective, I need to understand exactly what do I want to do. And this is important because a lot of companies think that AI is this magical solution that they're gonna solve their problem automatically, right? Yeah, I'll just use AI, it's gonna fix it. What they don't understand is that AI is a tool, and we need to understand how to use that tool to be able to solve the problem. So I need to really define my problem, and specifically, I need to answer the question: what do I want to achieve with AI? What is really my goal, right? Adding AI or adopting AI is not really a goal. This is too broad. I need to be very specific. For example, I remember Ali mentioned at the beginning that they are interested in using image segmentation in an operation to do XYZ. So it's very clear that Ali understands exactly what he wants to do with AI. He did not say, I have a business, I want to add AI to it, because this does not make sense. So the first step is analyze the needs. Okay, do I want to improve my products? Do I want to optimize operations? Do I want to innovate, create new solution? Whatever it is, let's start by asking this question and identifying exactly what we want to do. And to do that, there are some questions we can think about. For example, what are the inputs? What do I need to do? I give it this image, it gives me this output. I give it this data, it gives me that. So clarify as much as possible from a technical perspective, what exactly do I want? Do I think there's a pattern? If I want to solve something with AI that has no pattern, then obviously that's not gonna work, because AI is not magic. AI is it's a logic, it's a solution that finds a pattern, that really finds a pattern in some data and uses that pattern for future prediction. So if there's no pattern, then there's no need to eventually use AI. What degree of human expertise do I need to make it happen? Right? Is this even a feasible option, or I need to have, I don't know, advanced knowledge in some fields to actually solve this problem? What are my success metrics? How do I consider this to be a successful implementation? Is it just enough to give me a prediction? How accurate does it need to be? These are all questions you have to, ask yourself. And finally, and most importantly, do I need machine learning to solve my problem? Because unfortunately, sometimes you don't need AI. You can just solve it with a small script or some piece of code, and you're good to go. So I don't need to use AI, but because AI is a hot topic now, it's a trendy word. A lot of companies, especially startups, are adding AI to seem like they're exciting to raise funds to do that. Well, actually, they don't need AI. It's just a platform, collects data, it does something with it, and that's it. So if you don't need machine learning, there's no need to invest and go that route. So these are the questions that you need to analyze. Once you go through this thought process and you still identify some applications, the next step is to start executing pilot projects, start building something with it. And it's important to do it that way instead of just go about it and rebuild your whole product, because that's going to waste your time. So what's important at the beginning is to prioritize initial success. Okay, make sure that you have some small projects, something that you can accomplish within the next 4 to 5 months, that's going to give you a small step towards success. It doesn't have to be a huge value, it doesn't have to be reinventing the whole company. All it has to do is give you some success to show you that, yes, this makes sense. Okay, so initial success is important. You need to be able to show results within 6 months. It has to be small, but not too small in order not to have any effect, right? It has to be something where, okay, I trusted that AI can actually help do something in my business, and the project has to be technically feasible. So again, don't think that AI is this magic solution that's going to solve a problem that is unsolvable. So as long as you're solving something that is feasible, that's a great way to do it. So implement 1 or 2 pilot projects. And this is important because it's going to help you understand if AI can be applicable to your business and also how it can be applicable to your business. And once you figure out those 2 things, the third step is to look at your needs from a human resources perspective. Okay, you've now dealt with some projects, you understand exactly what you need to hire, and now you can think about it. Who do I need to have on my team? Okay, what do I need to look for? Do I need to have a team that can handle, let's say, data collection, pre-processing, modeling, and maintenance? Do I need to build the whole thing myself? Or is it just enough to just get someone who can call an API, use some framework or some tool, and that's enough? Because again, not all companies would need to build their own AI models. Some companies can just call an API, integrate it with, I don't know, OpenAI or any other platform, and you're good to go, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. But others, you have to actually build your own thing. So in order to understand the difference, you have to have some practice, and then you can think about it from your own use case. Do I need this type of people or not? And maybe also you can look at it from a languages perspective. What kind of do I need to outsource or keep someone local? What are the time zones requirements? All of these things, and this is important because that's going to help you identify exactly who you will hire, right? Am I looking for a machine learning engineer, someone who's expert in building, deploying models, or I can just have a software engineer who understands the bit of high level AI and can just call some APIs and implement that, for example. And then, now that you have your needs, it's time to go and build your AI team. Of course, initially, if you're just getting started, you can outsource your work because it's going to help you gain momentum. It's much faster to just get someone else to do it and do that POC, let's say, to prove that it works. But of course, long term, it makes more sense to be in-house, to build your own team in-house, because that's more efficient and you have more customization over the solution. You can own it more. And big companies, and again, the case of Google and similar companies, not small companies, they're even talking about having a dedicated chief AI officer, who is someone who reports directly to the CEO. Under that chief AI officer, we have basically a centralized AI team. All of the AI engineers, they work under that team, and their goal is to basically build the capabilities of AI to support the whole company. So they build all the solutions for different teams. They are coordinating with different company business units to basically make sure that everyone is getting their own needs met. They develop standards for recruiting and retention, and they work with versatile skill set and multiple roles. This is again in big companies. In small companies, of course, there's no need to have a chief AI officer. Probably the CTO maybe can oversee the AI team, and you can take it from there. So far so good. By the way, do you have any questions I hope I'm not going too fast over this information, but there's a lot to cover, and I really want to make sure we finish on time. But again, any questions you have, please
Yeah,
let
I
me
would
know.
like to check. Yeah, please, I would like to check what's meant by pattern, or if you can give an example about this method.
By pattern, you mean?
Yeah, pattern.
So any data that you have will eventually have some pattern. For example, if you look at the previous sales, let's say you have a store, an e-commerce shop, and you're tracking the sales of your products, and you would like to forecast, which means predict in the future, where this number would be, right? Where the sales would be. It's not gonna be creating magic, right? The reason for the AI that it works is because it somehow figures out a pattern. It knows that basically there's a pattern, there's something that repeats itself, right, in terms of the sales, that if this continues, you should be at this amount next month. So that's how you can forecast. Or for example, weather, the same concept. If you can find a pattern, you can forecast the future values of the weather. So a pattern can be any type of data that has a pattern. Images have patterns, right? If you look at cats versus dogs, there's a pattern that makes it a cat, right? Maybe furry hair, some tail. There's a lot of things. It's not easily describable because if it's describable easily, you can just have it written down in code, right? If I can describe in code what a cat looks like, there's no need for AI. I can just put if else conditions, write it in code. So I don't know how to explain it, but there is a pattern because we all agree that this is a cat. How did we make sure that this is a cat? Because we looked at it and somehow it fired something in our brain that says, yes, that's a pattern of a cat. So that's how you can think of a pattern. It's a series of characteristics that are in the data itself that usually algorithms like machine learning algorithms are really good at detecting much more than the human eye. And that's why AI is better at humans in a lot of these things because we tend to oversee some things, right? We cannot comprehend the amount of data, whereas a huge system like AI can detect that. So hopefully I explained a bit what the pattern is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So I try to give you a high level of the steps, but let's be a bit more specific, okay? I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, okay, give me exactly what do I need to hire? I have a company that big, we're doing this thing, etc. What exactly do I need to hire? So I tried to come up with a formula of what exactly you will need to hire based on your team. First of all, I think that all companies, no matter which industry you're working in, needs to have at least one data analyst on board. What does that mean? It means that whether you're selling software or you're selling potatoes, it's good to have someone who is collecting data about your company, who helps you understand things from a data perspective. Okay? It's important to have a data culture. You know that right now data is more valuable than oil. Why is that the case? It's because data is really important if you know how to look at it. So if I'm selling whatever it is that I'm selling, it's good to have the culture of collecting the data, putting it here, saving, looking at it, building dashboards, building reports, tracking KPIs. So that person will help build a data culture at your company, will help implement dashboards to track KPIs, whether again sales, marketing, whatever it is. You can have KPIs and you can track them. And more importantly, once you have data, you can start making informed decisions. Instead of deciding randomly, you decide based on the data because there's nothing better than the data-driven decisions, right? You might lie to yourself, but data never lies. So it's important to do that. So so yeah, any company can benefit from data analyst. Now, if you're building something more, if you want to build AI, if you want to train your own models and build your own things, then it depends on the size of your company. So small companies or startups, usually you can have one or two data scientists or machine learning engineers. Any of these two would work because they're going to be overlapping. You don't need to have one for each task. You can have one or two engineers. They can do all of the different tasks from collecting data, cleaning data, building models, deploying models, testing models, etc. You don't need to have different roles. You can start with one or two, and then you can increment accordingly. The more the company grows, and you need to grow your team, you grow with that. Now, for bigger companies, and in this case, bigger doesn't just mean the size of the company is bigger, but also the size of the data gets bigger. So you might still be a startup with a small team, But if you're scaling your operations and you have more data that's being collected, then in this case, you need to separate data scientists from ML engineers. So ideally, you would have 1 or 2 data scientists, people who are just working with data, who are just focusing on gathering, cleaning, storing, analyzing data, and then other teams who are focusing on building models, deploying models, and doing the ML engineering part of the AI. And then for huge companies, large enterprises, then you have to have data engineers who just focus on the data, data scientists for data analysis and insights, and then ML engineers. And then you can also go specializing like ML ops, computer vision, etc., based on your data. So that's how you can think about it in terms of what each person does. And that's the trick of it. Is sometimes you have one person doing the job of all of them. But again, as you grow and as you get bigger, you'll not be able to handle the scale. So you need to start to specify. Hopefully that was clear in terms of what does each responsibility and each role do. Moving on to the recruitment strategies, how do I reach those people? How do I recruit those engineers? And how do I access talent? Usually companies, when they think of, okay, where is talent located and how do I access those talents, they think of education institutions like universities. Okay, I can go to the university, I can partner with the university, they can send me every year, whatever, 5-10 of their top student, and I can recruit from there. So that's a great way to connect with a vast pool of fresh graduates. It's a great idea, but the problem in this case is that in the AI field, of course, these graduates, they often lack the practical skills required to build solutions. So they take a lot of the theoretical knowledge at university, but they don't have the practical skills where they can, start implementing things from day one. So you're going to end up with that problem. The second approach would be to partner with recruitment agencies. There's a lot of agencies out there that help companies recruit any type of talent they're looking for. They headhunt and they attract high quality professionals, and it works a lot of the time, except that in AI, in this specific field, because it's very new and it's moving really rapidly, the problem is that these companies usually they don't have the technical expertise and the technical understanding of the AI and the different roles. So what I just described here the few slides before, there's a lot of nuances to different roles, and you really need to understand AI and the different details to be able to pick the right person. And unfortunately, recruitment agencies don't have that understanding. They work on it as if it's another, another project. You need a software developer, will get you a software engineer. You need someone HR, you need marketing. They work on the description, but they're not specialized in AI and the technical expertise needed for each role. And that's the problem here. So the ideal solution in this case would be to partner with a tech upskilling company, right? Because usually these people, they have the best of both worlds. They are specialized expertise in AI, right? They understand the market, they understand the AI as a field, and you have access to talent that is trained with market-ready skills. So it's not theoretical skills, it's people who are trained on practical knowledge. They can implement things directly. So they can also help you tailor things to your needs. And this is where I have to plug in basically Zaka Careers, because Zaka Careers is the best of both worlds. We at Zaka have been doing these AI trainings for quite some time. We are focused on the practicality. Our 5-month program is focused on graduating market-ready talent, which means people who know not just the theory, but the practical skills to implement AI. And we also understand the nuances and different roles of AI. So we understand exactly what your company needs, and we can tell you exactly what kind of profiles and candidates you're looking for. So you can access job-ready talent, seniors or juniors. You can also have your project be worked on as a capstone project. So if you need also help with your project, you can do that, and you can build your custom data pipelines as well. Another step that you can also do to build your team, if you don't want to recruit them, right, you can upskill them, because we all know that AI talent is really hard to find. There's a shortage of talent globally. So some companies, instead of hiring new people, they're just focusing on upskilling their current employees because it's much more cost effective. So if you have a team of software engineers, you can just give them a training, enroll some of them into these boot camps that train them, and have them become AI engineers or ML engineers or whatever. And in terms of the training levels, of course, there are different types of training. You need to provide training for the whole company at different scale. The first high-level training would be executives and senior business leaders. This would be a very high-level training that focuses on what is AI, right, high level, and what can AI help do for the business. So it helps these business leaders understand the impact of AI for their business. The second level of training would be for the team leaders and division leaders who are overseeing a team, and these people would be we need to understand, of course, AI and how it works, but also they will need to understand how to allocate resources and how to monitor and track progress. So they need to be able to understand features and what AI can do and what it cannot do. And then the third and the deep level of training would be for the AI engineers. So for the technical people who would be building AI solutions, this would be a full 100+ hours of training to help them understand how to gather data, train models, deliver projects, etc. So there's a different level of training, but training would be one approach to also building your team instead of hiring. There's also the option of staff augmentation. So a lot of companies, maybe they have a project that is somehow either they're testing it or they have a limited time, so they need someone to work on this for 6 months, and then maybe they don't have a need for a full-time person. So they go with the approach of staff augmentation, which means you can hire someone from a company that offers staff augmentation. That person would be working with you on your project for the whole duration of the project as if they were part of your team. However, that person is already trained, vetted, and hired by another company, so you don't have to worry about the hiring process. So it's faster recruitment. It's much more easier to access this talent pool, and it's flexible. So you can always scale up or down based on your needs. Let's say now we have a project, you need 5 people to work on it. After 2 months, let's say progress is good, you can reduce the number to 3 and have only 3 people remain on your team. So it's much more flexible because you are paying per, let's say per resource per month instead of hiring someone full time for a year or 2. So it's much more flexible as well. And the last way to recruit people, and in my opinion, the best one, is to be part of an AI community. Is to really have exposure within the community, because these people, these AI engineers, are always participating in hackathons and conferences and career fairs. They're always part of a community, right? So if you go there, if you sponsor an event as a company, or if you, I don't know, just go attend an event, you'll meet a lot of people, right? You'll meet people who are technically capable of building solutions for you and who are interested in maybe looking for a job or interested in an opportunity. So you can easily recruit people from there as well. And this is also to mention that we at Zaka organize career fairs and a lot of community events. And this is how I've seen a lot of companies hire, because they were part of the community. They've seen people who are interesting and who can do good work, and they've hired them directly from the community. So any questions before we wrap up? I think we still have a bit of time. I'm going to try to finish on time, but if there's any questions, please interrupt me. Last step to talk about today is the retention. Okay, so I've hired my team. They've been working with me on some projects, but it's important to keep that team and to keep those hires in the company, because it's hard to find talent. You spent a lot of time and energy to recruit them, so you need to make sure we keep them on board. So what are the retention strategy? In fact, you can follow this inspired AI culture, and this is something that ChatGPT and I came up with, so you'll not find this anywhere, but it's nice to have it in an acronym. So let's focus on the inspired culture to keep at the company. Inspired stands for I, which means infrastructure and tools. So you have to know that there's a lot of tools needed to do AI work, right? It's not just someone writing code on a blank notebook. So you need to invest in those tools. You need to invest in the infrastructure, especially, let's say, GPUs. A lot of AI require GPUs, and GPUs, they cost a lot of money. So make sure you are investing in infrastructure. You are providing your team with the right tools they need to build their solutions, and that's how you can keep them. By the way, to open again the idea of the example of OpenAI, a lot of their alignment team they left allegedly because they did not get enough GPUs to build their own models and to train their own things. So they wanted to run experiments, and they did not give them GPUs enough to do that. So they all left. So this just goes to show you, you can have the best AI engineers on the team, but if you're not giving them the resources they need to do their job, they're not going to be able to stay on the team. Second point is nurture innovation. So this is not software development. We're not building something that's, if else conditions. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of innovation that needs to take place. So it's good to have this culture of, do things even if they fail, right? Try this. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Try something else, because there's a lot of trial and error again. So you need to have that culture, and you need to treat them separately than the typical software engineering team, which basically is more structured and more determined. And you need to be able to have an environment where you can make decisions based on data. So if you're a company with an AI team, you're collecting data to train your models, but you're not using it internally, you're not driving decisions based on data, then it shows to the team that you're not taking it seriously. So if you have a data-driven environment, then this shows that it doesn't matter what you think or what I think. Let's look at what the data thinks, and let's make decisions based on that. And that's really a culture that everyone wants to work in. P stands for promoting transparency. And it's important to have that because there's a lot of confusion around AI, especially if you have a company, let's say a big company, you started implementing AI. Some people might fear that AI is taking over their jobs, or you're automating something and they feel like they're going to be left out of a job. So it's important to be transparent in your goals and saying, here's what we're doing with AI. Here are the things that we want to automate or we want to change. And here's how it will affect your job or your roles. Whenever you're transparent, and everyone is online, then you avoid having internal struggles, and you avoid having people internally fighting, your solutions. I is for illustrating success, and it's really good to share some success stories, something that worked with you. So let's say you tried something, it worked. It's good to have either internally share it with other people from the company, or externally write a blog post about it, share it online, do a video about it, do a workshop. I don't know. Whatever is the way, it's very important to showcase your success stories as a company, because it helps your team be motivated and say, okay, we're moving in the right direction. We're doing something right. And also for the outside people, it's a great way to showcase that you're building cool things, and that's a good way to attract talent. So if you want to hire, you can say, look at what cool things we're doing. Look at how we're implementing this or that, and that's how you can get other people to get excited and join your company. AI is a field that's always moving, and that's always, you're always learning something new. So you have to reinforce continuous learning. It's not just that you're a great AI engineer, but that's it. If you stop learning, if you stop staying up to date and catching up with the news and the new frameworks and the new updates, then you're not a good AI engineer. So you have to have that environment also within the company. You have to push your team to always stay up to date, try new things, implement this, try that, because that's how they can stay on top of their game. And again, with the community, you have to engage with the community, provide resources, share your lessons learned, share your experiences, your success stories, be part of that community, because really it's great to give back, and it gives you a lot of value in return. And to finalize everything, ethics, drive ethical standards, because ethics are really important. And nowadays, I'm sure you've heard, AI ethics is a big part of the AI conversation. It's not enough to just build AI solutions. You need to have these AI solutions be ethical, and you need them to treat everyone the same way, and to be, pushing in the right direction in a way. So this is the final slide. This is the end of the presentation. I really hope it was useful. I hope I did not overstay. I think we're 3 minutes over, but that's fine. If you have any questions, I'm here. We can have a Q&A session. I'd love to answer your questions. If you have any feedback on this, if you'd like to add anything, please let me know. And thank you all for joining us today. And yeah, I'm open for questions.
If you
I
just
have
please
a
don't
question.
mind, just read the chat box because the questions are there.
So the recording will be sent by email after I think in next tomorrow or the next couple of days. Zaka stands for intelligence. So Zaka comes from Zaka. In Lebanon we say Zaka, so it's just intelligence in Arabic, as Larissa mentioned. Ali has to. Okay. Did I miss a question? Because I think these are all the questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As a student, how can we prepare for such roles? Because it's quite
Okay.
competitive.
It is for sure, but there's also a lot of shortage. So as a student, first of all, you have to learn the skills, right? You have to build your. It depends on what kind of role you're interested in. Obviously, I'm going to give a generic answer, but each role changes. But you have to build those skills. So learn the, let's say, coding, learn the machine learning algorithms, learn the libraries, learn the frameworks. But more importantly, you have to build practical skills. So you have to build like a portfolio, work on some projects, because I can guarantee you no company will just hire you based on your CV, right? If you just taken a course at university and you have the certificate, it's not enough. You need to prove practical skills. You need to showcase that I can build this or this or this. That's why building a portfolio of projects would help you land a job much faster. Why do you
Got it. Thank
why are
you.
you not present? That's a good question. We usually do it in English because sometimes you have people who don't understand Arabic. If everyone here understands Arabic, I don't mind speaking in Arabic, but usually we have people joining from different places, and English is more common. Also, I'm more comfortable in some cases to speak in English. But if you guys want to speak in Arabic, I'm happy to answer. إذا في شيء ما كان واضح وبدكم أعيده بالعربي, I'm more than happy.
Yes, I have a question. I live in Holland, and we are designing a well-being resort over here. And I want to see if I can have maybe private discussion with you. We're in the initial phase, so we're doing now the visibility study and the business plan, and see how you can help us out in the beginning from the project, step by step. Would that be okay?
Absolutely, yes. Let me share with you my email in the chat, and just send me an email and we can discuss. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any questions? Anything you guys want to ask or add? Usually it's
Hi,
a
Chris.
fun place. Yes, Wasim.
Awashi, thank you for this informative lecture. I have a question, not related all everything for this lecture, and specific in general. I want to ask a question. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. It's okay.
Okay. Just want to know. I want to start my AI journey, and I understand a lot about every role in this for this AI machine learning roles. Uh, where I can start my journey, and lectures, courses, websites. If you can help me in this, please.
Okay, so I have a very biased answer. The short answer would be Zaka.ai. This is where you start your journey. But the long
Yeah.
answer is, as I just mentioned to Manal, again, it depends on exactly what position you're interested in. But usually go for the technical skills, learn these skills, right? So everything you can find it online. There's a lot of courses for free on AI, on data science, on these tools. You can learn everything by yourself. It's just you need to be able to understand the trajectory, right? So I learned this, then this, then this. But so you want to work as a machine learning engineer, for example, that's your target.
Yes.
Okay, and do you know programming? What's your background?
Yes, I am a mechatronics engineer,
Okay.
and I have double degree in my computer science.
Okay, so you know programming. Next step is to get familiar with data. Okay, scrape data, clean data, work with data, spend a lot of time just doing things with data. Next phase after that is some basic data science approaches. So look at statistical modeling, predictive modeling, and machine learning algorithms. Go into that. Then from there, it's basically up to you. You can go deep learning, you can go specific fields. I mean, it's a huge field, right? But you start there and then you work your way through that. And the best way to learn, in my opinion, also is don't just take courses, but maybe take a project and implement the project and learn as you are implementing. So let's say, just say, okay, I want to build, I don't know, a chatbot, right? I want to build a chatbot that answers questions about this field or whatever, and then work your way backwards. So what do I need? I need to build this model. I need to get this data set. I need to do this. That's also another way to learn by building things directly, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you so much. And one small question: Zaka program, when it will start? And I want to get the program's scholarship. I want to apply for the scholarship.
Yeah, so I think it's better if you reach out to the team and they will support you because we have different cohorts and different needs. The best way is just send an email, as Larissa mentioned, to academy@zaka.ai. State your background, your goal. Just say, I have this, and I want to go, I don't know, I want this, and then the team will follow up. It's the best way.
Okay, deal. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Larissa.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us, Wasim.
Just I have a
Jay?
question.
Yes.
Beside the chat GPT, we know that there is Copilot, new program for free. So is there any good news about some Arabic program will be there? It will be free so that all people can just be applied and used. And we hope I will hear a good news, hopefully.
There's always good news, inshallah. So
Inshallah.
you're looking for an LLM that speaks Arabic, but it's not ChatGPT. يعني ما تكفي
Yeah.
ChatGPT بس
Yes,
Okay.
some like Arabic programs which will be help for the academic students, just to catch up, because nowadays, as you say, like everything is about AI. So it's not only just Google itself will not be enough. Students have to just catch up with the AI, and it's like if you're not if students in future like not able to understand about the AI, it's like they just get back to zero. And with all due respect, but they become like illiterate. So that's what I just want to hear from you. Like I hope that be some good news. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I understand correctly, of course, ChatGPT does support Arabic, right? And it's free, so you can use that. There are alternatives to ChatGPT, like, for example, Claude. Claude is also, in terms of performance, almost up there with ChatGPT. You have an open source version like Llama, which is fully open source, fully free, that's available. These are all alternatives to ChatGPT, and they all support Arabic. Did I answer your question? Because you mentioned things around, AI is important for students, which I agree, but I don't know how to answer that if I missed the question.
Okay, because actually what I mean, for example, ChatGPT maybe got like latest articles or like trusted theses, which will be a good like resource for students who carrying on their education, whether master or whether PhD. But if you go to Copilot, for example, there are some things are there, but it's not like might not be trusted. Furthermore, it's like about
Okay.
just only what people only uploaded, but the program itself not aware whether this is really trusted or not. Whereas in ChatGPT, there might be like more accuracy, more trust, more like someone who's just checking up whether this is right information or just how can I say it, bogus, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
So I hope that I just somehow just was able to deliver my question.
Yeah, you have. I think this is a bigger topic. So, okay, let me explain. There are different things. First of all, any large language model, ChatGPT or anything else, if it's just answering question based from its knowledge, not giving you resources, then most likely, not most likely, but in some cases it can be hallucinating. So never trust these things automatically. Always fact check whatever any LLM gives you. However, there's a feature where ChatGPT and others can go online, do a search, like a Google search, and come back with results. In that case, it's not giving you information from its own knowledge base. It's basically summarizing info that it found on Google. So this is a bit more trustworthy because it shows you the link. It shows you that I got this info from that link. So in that case, I think that's what we were asking about. So if basically you just want to use a large language models, never use it for anything without fact checking its information, no matter which is it, ChatGPT or others. But if you want to use it to do some research and collect information, then you can use the browsing feature of ChatGPT, or you can use Claude also has this feature, and this tool called Perplexity AI, if you've heard of it, Perplexity. It's basically like Google search, but for with ChatGPT. So you ask it a question, it goes online, it searches the internet, and it gives you an answer based on resources and gives you the sources. So I found this here and here and here, so you can do your own research. I hope I answered your question, Kosai.
I appreciate your care and concern. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Any other questions? Any feedback? Yes, Saad.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was amazing. Actually, I have just one question. First of all, let me tell you my background. I'm a computer engineering student tracked in artificial intelligence. So I know the difference between the AI branches and the types, supervised and unsupervised, and I can understand the difference between the types of algorithms. Plus, I have a minor in mathematics. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. اوكي هلا انا الفكره وين؟ الفكره انه انا I have all these expertise عندي ال technical skills و already عندي previous projects ان كان regression ان كان classification and all of that. بس my problem انه انا I don't have connections. So برأيك how can I solve هالموضوع to have اذا بدك a job بهيدا الفيلد حاليا؟
You don't have experience in what? Sorry?
نعم.
You said, yeah, I know your background, but what do you like? You said I don't have, and
I don't
didn't
have
hear.
I don't have the needed connections لحتى اقدر الاقي شغل معين بهذا الفيلد. يعني انا I can work in computer vision او in prediction او anything of that.
So you have projects, you've built projects in this in computer vision and NLP. Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Like, هلا, there are again two answers. The easy answer is send your CV to recruitment@zaka.ai and we'll help you find a job. But let's say this does not exist. The long answer would be put yourself out there. And this is something I tell everyone. Write blog posts about the projects you've done. Build a GitHub portfolio. Put them on LinkedIn. Put them somewhere. Be active in some platform. Okay, any platform, and then showcase when you put yourself out there, when you say, look what I've built, look what I've done, here's a snippet, here's whatever, eventually you're gonna get some tractions. People will, will like, will comment, will engage with the content, and then you're gonna see some activity happening. And that's how usually people get opportunities. You can be the best engineer, but if you're sitting at home, alone, not connecting with anyone, no one's gonna find out that you have this great, skill and you're building these cool things. So you have to be out there and you put yourself out there. And luckily we live in the age of, social media and all of that. So you can pick your own approach. You can have a TikTok channel where you talk about AI, whatever. You can have a LinkedIn profile. You can have a blog post. You can have Instagram, whatever tool you're using. Just share your projects, put yourself out there, connect with, go to events, go to conferences, be part of that community, and then eventually you should be able to learn something.
Okay.
And
thank you.
good luck,
Much
Saad.
appreciated.
And
Thank
again,
you.
send your CV and we'll definitely support you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for the extra time and for everything.
Thanks, Chris. It was a great session.
My pleasure. Happy that you guys enjoyed it. So yeah, in
Just,
case this
just
will
last
not,
question. If it will be possible to send the link of this Arabic series webinars, we'll highly appreciate that. In case if it's possible. Otherwise, I do not want to be a heavy
Yes.
guest.
no, of course, Kosai, send an email to academy@zaka.ai. Please ask us for this and we'll reply back. And for this recording, you will all receive an email, I guess, tomorrow with the link to recording and everything that you need.
Thank you so
And in
much.
case this wasn't clear in the presentation, if anyone here would like to hire someone in AI, we can help you. And if anyone here would like to find a job in AI, we can also help you. So please reach out for any of your hiring needs. Okay. And since no one has any question, I think we can wrap up this session. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for staying until the end. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you learned something. And please stay safe and enjoy your evening. I'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a great day.